Hello, and welcome to the Quantum Bridge with myself, Casper, my even better co host, Gary, and the lovely guys, Rich and Cassie, to talk about Shungite again. So it's lovely to have guests, given that Gary is not just a lover of all things Shungite, but actually seems to keep on buying stuff, which is a great thing to be doing. I'll pass across to you.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, you're right. I did actually make a purchase recently, and I've been enjoying a nice, relaxing bath
There
in
you
this
are.
house. There you go. Yeah, nice bath salts, and I got some water toggles as well, the purification things. But we're going to talk about those, I believe, in the next show.
Yeah.
This show is something that I haven't purchased yet, but I would like to in the future. It's these lovely pyramids. So you're going to tell us about these today, guys. And maybe that other weird thing you got standing there that isn't a pyramid. But maybe we'll get to that,
A
So
little bit
let's
later.
start. Yeah, let's start. Let's start with what we came to talk about the pyramids today. So over to you guys.
Yeah, hi guys.
Hello again, folks.
Yeah. So essentially what we're making is orgonite pyramids. So we're going to give a little description of like how they're made and what they do and how you can use them in a very practical way, as well as just having them doing their work in the background. Yeah?
Yeah, indeed.
Should we bring up the slides?
Sure.
Lovely. Orgonite. Do you want to talk a bit about orgonite?
Yeah, Orgonite is William Reich, basically. It's different layers of organic and inorganic material. So you have a layer of in his boxes that he made, which was healing boxes they got people to sit in. It was a layer of metal mesh, and then as the inorganic material and organic material, which was the cotton, and just multi-layers of that. There's also different versions you can do with that. You can use silver foil and paper if you want to make your own, which is a really cost-effective way of doing it. But so a lot of people make pyramids using that technique, where you have pieces of metal and in alternating layers with resin, which is silica and all that kind of stuff, and then you build it up and put all your various crystals in and whatnot, and creates the orgonite that everybody's going crazy about. You can actually see a little bit underneath this one where you've got metal at the bottom. Don't really use that in the pyramids themselves because we've got shungite, which is you've got your silica in shungite, and you've got all of your base metals. You've got irons. What else have we got in there?
Oh, just all of them.
Yeah, we've got lots of. So we've got the trace metals, and so we've got the inorganic and the organic material. Just to take this a little bit further, so you can actually understand it from how your body works. When you're breathing, and how also the William Reich boxes that he used to get people to sit in. When you're breathing, you're doing the same thing because you've got layers of organic material. Obviously, you're made out of organic material. You've also got trace metals within you as well, and you've got layers all around your lungs and your rib cage of all these different layers. So whenever you're taking a proper breath, not the breath that I'm using now, which is as you're talking, a proper full breath of, I think it's something like 6 breaths a minute or 6 to 10 breaths a minute we should be taking, whereas really what we're doing is taking shallow breaths and breathing about 20 to 30 breaths per minute, which is not very good for us. So if you do your big, like, you're creating a negative pull into your lungs. And that's what basically creates that chi energy that everybody talks about. When you start doing your meditation, you can feel that energy building up inside you. I think that's one of the reasons why the British language is designed the way it is. So it makes us not actually connect to that. If we talked like the trees in the Lord of the Rings, it would probably be a lot better. But so yeah, that's just a couple of examples of what the orgonite does in our body, as well as what William Wright was researching and doing with his stuff. And a lot of people make beautiful things out of orgonite by using the same basically technique. And we're just doing the same, but with shungite, we don't really need to use the layers of metal and inorganic and organic material, because it's already in the shungite anyway. And another thing to add is, if you look at the Earth itself, it's built up of layers, which is the same. We're looking at the same thing all the time, basically, without realizing it. So that's
So yeah, I just want to add a little bit there that when most people are making their orgonite, they aren't adding shungite. So they're adding the crystals and the metal and the resin together. And what you've got there is you've got the frequencies being attracted and passing through the metal pieces and being spun the correct way from DOR, which is dead orgone energy, to back into an live orgone energy, and then it's sent out back into the environment. Now the thing with adding shungite is, because shungite is a portal stone from the quantum realm, we're adding extra energy into our environment by having the shungite in there. So there's a very big difference between plain orgonite and then shungite added orgonite, because what you're creating there is you're creating a portal. Well, with the silver infused powder, we've got the many portals. And when you run your hand across the top, 99% of the people that do this will feel either a little wind or a little tickle or a warmth or a cold, depending which hand they use, coming out, and it's very definitely touching your hand. And this is because it's so powerful, because it's pushing all of the energy through and focusing it with the point of the pyramid. So the difference, just to recap, is that if you haven't got shungite in your orgonite, you are creating the solution for activating the energy in your house, but you're not adding new energy. And when you add the shungite, it adds the new quantum energy, which then makes it a time crystal, because when you add energy into the new environment, you're adding time crystals. So this is why these become much more powerful. Yeah.
If you look at one of the pictures on there that we put up, you can see there's an amethyst. There's also in this one here, but there's a light in this one. There's an amethyst in it. Oh, actually, on two of them, there's a Giza pyramid inside the lower one as well. It's got 4 quartz and an amethyst in it. Because the beautiful thing is that with shungite, it will not go into the negative polarity. It'll always stick into positive polarity. And amethyst, I don't know if you know, the name comes from, it's Greek, I think, to stop drunkenness. I don't necessarily think it was getting drunkenness, but just to, to stop the foolishness of us, because it's really good at transmuting negative energies and healing, is the amethyst.
Well, that's a really good point, because when you've got the shungite energy that's spinning at 20 to 30 billion times a second to the right-hand direction, then you also don't need to put in the copper spirals that a lot of people put into their orgonites. And that copper spiral is taking the left-hand spin of the negative energy and then telling it which direction to go in. But you don't need to tell shungite which direction to go in. So that's, again, another part of the kind of the cake that you're making that you don't have to put in when you're using shungite.
I've seen these other ones. Yeah, I've seen what you're talking about, where they have all these layers of metals and things. In these, then, what is it that's giving these nice colours? Is it the crystals and things?
It's basically, we've got Oompa Loompas in the cellar that eat all the sweets, and we take the sweet wrappers from Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and put them into the. We get Tom Thumb to put.
It's not. He's lying. We've actually got fairies in Doncaster, and we take the wings, but they grow back. It's very, very very, very sustainable. They grow back, and we put them in.
That's it. It's a trademark secret. We'll go with that.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's in real life, in boring real life, it's a dichroic. Is it
film?
A dichroic film that I think it was a glass technique was used to give colours. They're not like your normal kind of bits of glitter and stuff. They give off so many different colours just
And when you layer them as well,
so because like some would almost disappear inside the resin, but just at a certain angle it'll appear. So and that's so Cassie found them, and really there was no turning back after that, because we've got the blackest of black thing, and we've got the shiniest of shiny thing to. But I just want to add, when Cassie was saying you can feel that you can literally feel the energy coming out. Like this one, I did it the other day. I wasn't really planning to do it. It was just I had some leftover. I was doing other things. But when we're at the store, I get people just say, right, you see that pyramid? Yeah, I'll put it on there. Put your hand where it isn't, because this is also, you've got to teach people how to feel things. Because people go, oh, can I feel it? No, you put your hand where it isn't and then move across it. And as soon as you move across it, you're like, whoa, there's something underneath my hand. If you go straight to it, it's not really, you've got to feel the difference as you come across it. And we were so chuffed that people could sense this, because it's like, really, I'm in the game of not telling you what you're going to feel. I'm in the game of giving it you and saying, can you feel something? So by letting other people experience something. So it was really beautiful, but we didn't really understand fully what we were dealing with until there was a Reiki lady, a Reiki master, who said, I see what's happening here. I was like, okay, do you? Do you? What is happening? And she said, basically, what we're dealing with is generally one hand's going to be warm and the other hand's going to be cold. You feel a cold wind or a warm wind on one hand, because one's giving and one's receiving energy. And she said that's basically what you've got here. You've got a portal basically that's pulling or pushing, depending on which hand or how balanced or unbalanced you are. So it's great to have somebody that actually gives some, proper feedback on what was actually happening.
So
And
do you
also
get any anecdotal feedback on health benefits or other benefits or relaxation or for example?
Just as I was going there, have I got one with it? No, it doesn't matter. What I tend to like people doing is getting the pyramid and holding it between both hands. So you've got that kind of shape. Like people do that. Oh, the heart. Yeah, you just put the pyramid in between, because there's a constant flow of energy being pulled down as well as being pushed out by the top. And it's a constant balancing. And where, I don't know if you notice, but anybody who's out of balance, just look at their eyes. You know where their eyebrows are. You see either one eyebrow is above the other, or whichever, because they're out. One side of the body is out of balance to the other side of the body. You can see it plain as day. And I've seen people shift to that orientation in front of me, by just holding it in between both sides of your body. So I tend to kind of like put silver on gold, copper on the bottom of them to get that electrical connection between the thumbs. I've just not got one with that I've done it with. And then you get the activation through the movement of the pyramid, and it balances each side. You just sit with it for a bit, or even putting it straight onto your heart chakra.
Yeah.
And just sitting with it for a bit, because the energy is constantly moving all the time. It's not like you've really got to do anything with it. So yeah, there is, and also sounds crazy, but they're really nice to put in the bath. So when you're running the bath, you just stick this and the water runs straight onto, because the epoxy resin, they're hard as rock. You really can't smash them or anything. So the water's really not going to affect them. So yeah, it's great because the water runs onto it. You've got that constant energy. And while you're in the bath, just get hold of it and stick it onto your heart chakra. You're like, whoa, it's beautiful.
Belly buttons.
Yeah, Cassie's a belly button advocate.
Putting things
just
on
be careful not to sit on it by accident.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the cone. Wouldn't recommend it.
Oh.
But and also with me obviously being possessed by the the solids, platonic solids, and the square in the circle and the pyramids.
Yeah.
I made octahedron by getting two Giza pyramids.
As above, so below, Rich.
Indeed. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll fill in on some of the health benefits. You can be my beautiful assistant. So a really nice way to be working practically with the pyramids is you can literally point it. And so if you're in your family and you want to point it around about the middle of the back, about 6 inches away, and just circle it gently clockwise. And what happens is, for about the first 30 seconds, if you've never used Shungite before, nothing will happen generally. And then around about the 30-second mark, you may start feeling a frequency shift in your hand, like a tick, like a buzzing. The person who's receiving this often feels a shift in their energy. And then after a few minutes, they might find that there's another shift, and that somewhere in their body, there's a sensation. And it'll be always, when I say, is there a reason for that sensation at that part of your body? They say, oh, yes, I've got a problem there. Because the Shungite is doing a system sweep, working out where the energy is needed to go. And then it sends the extra energy through. The whole point is the point here, through that point to direct the energy to exactly where it needs to go. Now, if it isn't quite in the right point, like if someone has a back issue, it might be a shoulder issue that's actually triggering the back issue. Well, the Shungite will work that out. And so we've done this hundreds of times at the shows. And what we find is that people just have an amazing experience. Sometimes their wings open. This is how they describe it. Their whole field gets enhanced. And they say, oh, I feel my wings have just opened. And I can feel their shift in their energy when it just goes boom. We've had people with all sorts of backaches, knee aches, shoulder aches, neck aches, and you just use the pyramid. And they may get like a warm sensation. That's quantum healing, that warm sensation. Or if they've got fibromyalgia, we've had a number of people where I've done this same pyramid technique, and where at some point in their body there's an eruption of energy. And when the eruption of energy happens, one lady particularly, she broke into tears. And I said, has something just released? Because I felt this release, this eruption of energy. And she said, oh, yeah. And she was pain-free for the rest of the day. And we had a guy in the wheelchair, and he had fibromyalgia in his calf. So I just did that again for about 5 minutes to his calf. Now, he was in excruciating pain when I did that, but I wasn't touching him. And I thought, well, my goodness, it's certainly doing something. And within that 5 minutes, his muscle released. And he said, nothing has shifted this in my calf for 5 years. So there was the other lady with chronic fatigue for 24 years. We saw her the next day.
God, yeah.
And she said, all of my energy's come back. And she was channeling that night. She hadn't done that in 4 years. She was in tears of joy, because basically what you're doing is you're enhancing your frequency so that you're not getting inhibited by all the negative frequencies. It's like the feathers have been ruffled and they're being smoothed out. Hey, let's move on to the next screen, because then it talks a bit about birds.
There we go.
So moving on nicely, I like to use this bird analogy, because people say, well, how big is the field of coming out of the pyramid? And it certainly does have a field that you can feel as you're coming towards it. And then you've got that very definite wind coming out the top, like beam. But what we find is it's a bit like the birds of prey. So when you see a bird of prey hovering, it spotted the urine of a mouse, because it sees in grayscale and it sees the urine in bright blue. So if we take that analogy to your aura, which is a beautiful colour around you, the pyramid is seeing the aura, the electrical field, and sending its energy directly to the electrical fields. It's not seeing the space in between, you see. So the lady with her 24 years of chronic fatigue, she didn't take her pyramid to bed with her that night and hold it. It was able to see her electrical field and just kind of zap her enough to transform her in one night. So that's the analogy I like to use, that it's really not a distance thing, it's a quantum energy thing. And it's about being seen properly by an energy force. Does that
Can I
sound
just
about right?
ask then? Can I,
Yeah.
as Rich is moving, it's only because I've just see what's on the table there. Does size matter?
Perfect. You know why I was moving stuff about is to preempt that question that you thought about. There
There
was
you
a
go.
there was a gentleman going, right, I can feel that one. Yeah, just about. Well, how come I can feel that one more than all others? And I was like, because that's the one that you need. You don't need the massive big one. And he's like, oh, right, yeah, of course.
That's it. So it's a good line that we can use going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So we find sometimes the pyramids with the four sides can be a little bit too activating at bedtime for people that have them by their bed. So you might want to consider a cone, because the more sides you have, the higher, the more activating it is.
Yeah, there was a lady. I used to do these as well. Used to make these, uh, um, and it's just they're so difficult to make. I've not done them for quite a bit. But one lady, she used to just basically get it and just run it all over her body. She said, "I just love it because when you think about it, each end, then you're getting a perfect." Because if you look at a wave, people go, "Oh, wave goes like that," doesn't it? You know, we see the oscilloscopes where you see a wave doing this kind of thing. But a wave is not really going, it's going from one singular point here, expanding and then contracting.
Like into a bubble.
Yeah. So you've got, yeah, so you see, if you try and see it two-dimensionally, you've got the essence of the wave going up and then going back down, and then going up, going back down. But if you see it three-dimensional, it's actually going from a singular point, which would be a node, to an expansion to then a contraction. So it's yeah, it's just so what we're really dealing with is the wave going from a singular point. That's why you can feel it at the point because it's gone to the singular and it's trying to expand once again. What you have
Just
to.
a very quick question, guys. I know that you need to move through this fairly quickly. I used to do a lot of publishing work. One of our books was a pyramid power kit that people actually
Yeah,
made up. So this is really good. It's reminding me of all of that and the anecdotal feedback around that, which was
yeah,
nothing as profound as what you're both touching on, but it was an effect. I just wanted to ask the question simply that when you think of pyramids generally, we think of Egypt and we think of
yeah.
those incredible pyramids. You touched on the Giza pyramid a little while back. How much has this affected the way you think or feel about what was going on both in Egypt and the other parts of the world where we find pyramids today in terms of the energy of the earth, which I think then plays back into what you're doing, of course, anyway.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I just wondered
Yeah,
whether.
brilliant. Brilliant. Lead on. Both Rich and I have been in the big Giza pyramid at Egypt.
No, I've been in the, I was in the little tiny one. They closed it by the time
I've been in the big one.
I've been in a little one. But on that point of talking about Giza, because this one here is the Giza
Yeah.
pyramid. There's I don't think we've got this slide for another electromagnetic. There's a study done by a university which is also on Suspicious Observer YouTube thing, the space weather fella. And basically they put a magnetic, uh, almost like one of those heat sensor, you know, when you get people go red.
Thermography camera.
Yeah, but it was looking at the different, what happens to magnetic waves when you push them close to a pyramid. And basically, you could see that the wave will basically getting pushed down through the pyramid and getting grounded in the pyramid. It'd be great if I could get you the stuff so it'd illustrate a lot better. But there's loads of proof to say that this is what's happening. You're basically getting a massive grounding of electromagnetic waves. And I think that is what the pyramids are all about. That they're almost like space holders for us. Because I don't know if you know the Kosovo pyramids that have
Right.
been. Have you heard about those?
No, I haven't. No.
Sorry, the Bosnian ones. So they're in Bosnia.
Okay.
Right, you know, we've got the normal Giza pyramid, which is the Orion's belt, and Orion. We all know that one, don't we?
This means that at some point it lined up with those
No,
constellations.
if you look from above, the three pyramids are the
Oh,
line.
they are the map of. Okay, yeah. They represent that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got that constellation, Orion constellation. It's the Archer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Kosovo,
Bosnia.
Bosnia. Who's seen Kosovo?
Bosnia.
In Bosnia, you can tend to have it on YouTube. They found there's a bigger pyramid there than the Giza one. It's huge, and there's also a collection of them around that area that they're really trying to cover up by planting trees on them. And to the extent as well, you can't go. It's against the law to go to the top of the pyramid. So you can, and they tried to get, they did a wood planting scheme for the local school to try and basically put woods all over it so you can't see it. But anyway, the point is, there's a massive big, I think it's something like 25-ton, you can go inside these pyramids. There's a 25-ton massive piece of rock, or a big tonnage piece of rock inside that they cast inside the pyramid that gives off 25 hertz. And the pyramid orientation of this massive big one and all the others around it are basically the Pleiades. So we've got Orion and we've got the Pleiades now. So what's happening here? Well, it's only a matter of time before we start discovering that I'm sure, Draco system would end up being in England somewhere.
It is, yeah, it matches the England. It matches actually the mountain range in England, the Draco system.
Yeah, and there's also a book that I read called "The Stars Are." What was it? The Mountains are Stars.
Yeah.
And this gentleman had basically got a massive map of all the highest mountains in the country. Let's take England for instance, and then all the highest ones, he'd pinpoint them. So it's basically black it all out except for the highest points of the mountains. And then he'd start doing that all over the globe for the highest points. And basically it got down to it basically reflected the stars. So they were basically a mirror. All the bigger mountains was a mirror to the constellations above us. And it was just breathtaking because it did the same. The brightest stars in the sky, it took them, blanked everything else out except for the brightest stars, and then looked down. You could see the mountains that basically mirror those stars. So it's one of them, as above, so below. The firmament separated from the firmament. Where do you want to? Yeah, where do you want to go with it? It's just crazy.
Well, before our time runs out again, let's cover that other thing that's on the table there.
So we used to take one of these, well, two of these that were about 1 meter high, and the bottom plate was pretty wide across, and it got 5 poles coming out. We used to take these to every single stall. They weren't for sale; they were just there so we could plonk them down at either side of the stall, and people could put their hands on top of each one, and then they'd go, "Whoa, oh my God." So that's basically they were what do you call them? Cloudbusters. I'm glad she's here. I'd be rubbish. I'd have to do everything in mime. Maybe that's what I should do. So basically, I was making lots of cloudbusters because they were 2 meters tall, 5 poles, quartz crystal inside each pole, black tourmaline, silver infused shungite. I'd put the metals in the bottom like you see on this one, and we used to. I've sent What have we sent?
We've sent them to America, we've sent them to Australia, we've sent them to Belgium, we've sent them all over the UK.
Yeah.
About 30 of those
Yeah,
big
so I've
ones.
made about 30 of these massive big things, and literally, we were talking last time about the area where we lived, it always gets affected by us. Yeah, because I'm making these massive, big, organite, like cloudbuster things, and it's literally like buzzing with vibration. And I'm like, right, can I take it down now? Pack it up, send it away somewhere. It's just, yeah, so these are just like mini versions of that kind of thing, really.
Do you sell those?
Aye, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's one of these available on the website at the moment, these mini ones.
Mm.
People have to kind of get in touch because we've been so busy doing everything that he hasn't had time to make
Yeah,
any.
and I've stopped making the massive big ones because they were like 20 kilograms, and I'm lugging that around, and then I have to pack it and wrap it up and then lug it to a post. After you've done about 30 of them, you'd be like, I'm gonna stop doing these now. I'll do these nice little ones.
But that we work on to make 3 for a family, and I'll share the picture with you of what happened on the Earth's resonance, because
Yeah,
as it was setting, there's a complete black line through the Schumann resonance,
yeah,
and it's just a rather strange occurrence that happened at the same time Rich was making these things.
yeah.
Like a
It used to happen quite a lot, that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to just quickly share the story of when we made the first one.
Oh, yeah.
So when we made the first big one, I was woken up at half past 2 in the morning. I was clapped awake, massive clap, wide awake, and then I was transported to it, and it was setting outside, and I was put underneath it in a bubble. And then what happened was this ring of white light flew from the cloudbuster with me on it, like a ripple on a pond. And what happened was this ripple just flew for miles, and I'm flying across the fields on this ripple of white light for miles, and then it puts me back in bed. And I was just like, wow. So what do these do? These are clearing the environmental kind of timelines and pollution and chemtrails and all sorts for miles. This is how powerful they can be. And the other thing that we did with them, we had at that place, there was a car park at the retreat centre, and it was very eerie. And we put the cloudbuster down there, and it created a bubble that was 10 meters. And when you stepped in the bubble, you felt a bit sick. When you stepped out of the bubble, you felt fine. So we popped another one down there and gave it a couple of days, and we went back to it. A couple of days later, there was no bubble, no sick feeling, and the whole car park was bright. It wasn't eerie anymore. And there was a past life regression lady, and through the past life regression, happened to be a current life experience. What came out was that there was some
There was a massive entity thing.
trapped entity
So
that got released.
Yeah, I'd actually had a bit of like, because I used to walk around at like 2 o'clock in the morning around this massive big range thing. It was all like beautiful old woods and beautiful oak trees, and I'd just sit there and just meditate. And there was some massive thing there, and I was like, right, you get down there, you get out of here, you just get down there. So I kind of chucked it down to the car park and not really dealt with it. So yeah, there was some thing.
So that Shungite's able to do this transitional between the dimensions to release these trapped entities that do get caught up in the environment, and then be able to clear and transform the place. So again, there's that energy that you can feel coming out the top. The lady that got hers in Belgium, she said when she unpacked it, she got this kind of shift of energy go right up her spine, and then her vision cleared. So yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of concludes our kind of pyramids, the cloudbusters, which are all kind of William Reich.
Yeah, in all honesty,
the
feedback from one gentleman, the latest purchase of the amethyst one, was that it says it's just so calming. This is unbelievably calming. He come to see me at the stall a couple of weeks ago, and he says it's great. I don't switch it off. He says I've got it between 2 lava lamps, and he says this is beautiful. just calms the whole place down.
Well,
And
there's
that's
a
the
lot
point.
to be said these days for being calm. I mean, all of these other incredible aspects and the clearing of sort of negative forces or trapped entities and so on is interesting and wonderful. But I think for such a huge amount of people at the moment, the idea of feeling more grounded, having their energy balanced out, even just the balancing aspects.
Yeah,
I
just
think
a bit of peace and quiet.
yeah, these are worth, you know, more than money, basically, at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. So next time, like I mentioned at the start, we've got the toggles, haven't we? The water purification toggles.
Yeah, she's been playing with some experiments for them as well, so you've got some good stuff coming.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. And also, just to remind everybody, of course, will probably be on the screen as well, because Steve, Gary's brother, is so helpful with making these more engaging visually, and as are the guys, the Shungite guys here. But just to say, we will put in the show more section the links and so on. So if people want to get on there, have a look at all the different variants, and if they want to engage enough to try some of this, then that's a lovely thing.
Yeah, there's just one other thing that we are starting to do for people, and that is because of the current
Climate, dear.
dire situation that people are finding themselves in, that their relatives are dying early, which is just so awful and tragic. And what we're able to do is we're able to put loved ones' ashes into the pyramids. And when you're feeling that energy coming through the pyramid, it's infused with your loved one's kind of frequency, if you like, and you can really connect. And when we've done this for families so far, they have had like instant healing that day, because it just, like you say, calms them and connects them again.
Yeah, as part of the grieving process,
It really
that's a
is,
lovely
yeah.
thing.
So with that service, they get the bath salts and the soap and the body butters to really give themselves some proper loving and proper time to just take the time out to do that grieving and connecting process.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, guys, sorry, but as usual, we're over. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for all your
Okay.
help.
Take care, folks.
Loved your hair, Cassie.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
See you, folks.